Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Penny Lane Podcast. We are so excited this season to have two sponsors. The first is Penny's Going in Raw, and the second is Last Bottle Wines. We're so excited for this company and the service they provide, and we think it'll be a great value and a good thing for you guys to know about. Please enjoy this interview with Shark. Before we get into the interview, Justin and I have a little chat about what our hopes and dreams are for Season 3. And then after the interview, you can stay tuned to listen to me and Justin talk about Last Bottle Wines. We're so happy to have you back for Season 3. Enjoy!
The stock market is hotter than ever right now, and traders are taking advantage. But what does that mean for the people who still haven't started trading? The market can be a little intimidating at first, but you don't have to be alone in the learning experience. We at the Pennies Going in Raw podcast are here to help you. I'm Dan, and with my co-host Hugh Henney, we make the stock market a fun but informative experience for our listeners. We offer knowledge for all levels of traders, from beginners to those who do it full time. On PGIR, we discuss up-to-date news about the stock market and interview other traders who all started out just like us and made it big. You'll hear from Hugh and other multi-millionaire traders, founders and CEOs of companies, FinTwit superstars, and even professional athletes. Have you ever thought about investing your hard-earned cash but don't know where to start? Do you have money just sitting in your savings account collecting dust? We were all there once too. Listen to Pennies Going in Raw on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Justin, hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you?
Well, I've been stuck at home for the past 8 or 9 days with COVID. And I've learned all the nooks and crannies of this house. I haven't left the bed in 2 days, not because I've been feeling particularly ill, but just why?
Yeah.
Why get dressed?
You sound fine now.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy decided to do like a deep dive into his closet today, a real big clean out. Got a lot of dust particles in the air, so I'm having some allergies. Did
he find all of the Christmas gifts you've given him over the past 5 years as he cleaned out his closet?
Promptly threw several of them right in the trash. Reached the old expiration date.
Just unopened 2016, 2017, 2018 Christmas gifts.
Thoughtful ones, too, you know? Doesn't matter. That's
amazing. Did you have COVID brain while trading, or did you just not trade?
Well, I kind of blew up my account last week. Bound to happen. It was bound to happen. I mean...
Like bad? Or you just had a couple really significantly detrimental days? But there's
you know what's been going on, just unfortunately, to be honest, is I'm just like skirting right around PDT.
Yeah.
It's really hard to trade right around PDT, and I've been really afraid of it because I want to like hang on to my margin trading. And, I'll dip a couple of $100 below PDT, and then I just re-add up to 25,000, and then I hate myself for I said I was never going to do this again, but then I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just losing that money. It's like the stupidest cycle. So last week, it was a bad week. I had COVID. Jimmy's working from home. The kids are here. I was trying to trade and end out the year on some kind of good note and lost $2,000 and was like, so I'm at 23 and I'm like, I can't just keep doing this. So went ahead and converted it to a cash account. And I'm actually, we're having Shark on this episode. He's running a little late, but he has been very instrumental in walking me through all of that, which has been nice. So I have some goals for Season 3. Do you have any goals?
I have goals around... Okay, well, specifically, I would say that I would like to get maybe 3 or 4 of the topics that we talked about broadly last time, and I'd like to get into them more.
You mean in Season 2?
Yes, specifically crypto. I would like to learn. I'd like to get some more people who know about crypto, but not – I don't want someone to just tell me the value of Bitcoin. I want to understand what's going on in this crypto world, like what projects are funding, what technology that's big – what stable coins are going to continue to lead us into the future, but also what shit coins are going to make me rich. I need a hefty balance of both. So that's a big goal of mine. So I'm done. How about you?
Well, we have an upcoming episode about crypto. I've already sent it to you. Have you previewed that episode?
I certainly have. I enjoyed it very much, but there's a big learning curve with some of the topics that are being discussed in that.
Well, you heard me on that episode. Mostly what I was doing.
Yeah.
All right. A guest that knows about crypto. We need that. Goals for season 3. Well, we've got a new advertiser for season 3 that I'm very excited about. You'll learn about them coming up. Super, super excited.
You know who's more excited about that than you? Me. Consumer beverages.
Ooh, like a nice seltzer?
Could be. Probably not.
Could be. All right. Is it, and it's something you like. I just can't think of it.
It's something I know a little about, but it's something I don't know a lot about.
Huh.
Does that make sense?
It does. Is this something we're going to hope to learn a little bit more about throughout season 3?
That would be a dream.
Wouldn't it?
But it's one of those things you have to learn by doing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's sort of like trading.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Were you on the podcast when someone or somewhere was like, the best way to learn how to trade an option is to buy an option?
Yes.
It's in that vein, wouldn't you say? Yeah.
And you don't know, you don't know what you're doing until you're doing it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just another way to put it.
Cool. All right. So new advertiser. We're still being sponsored by Penny's Going Raw. So thank you to Dan and Hugh.
Boom.
Did you listen to
Easy.
Depending on where I am in my sobriety, which we were talking about before this.
Yeah. And where do you think your sobriety is heading?
Well, I don't know. You know, when I stopped drinking. A lot of it was for trading, and my trading's really in the shitter. I don't know how we are with cussing, but
so
sobriety,
the trading denominator is that I'm sober and I have to start drinking.
I mean, I'm left with very few options here.
It's like Whole30 where you take everything out of your diet and then you start adding the stuff back in. For you, it was like, okay, well, I took out alcohol. I'm ready to add that back in until I figure out what the problem really is.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, I've gone since August. It's now January. Is that 4 months? I think it's about 4 months.
It's a long time.
And I never intended it to be a lifelong thing, but there have been a lot of benefits of not drinking. So anyway, it's something I'm sort of deciding what I want to do with. Mm-hmm. But I could go to a brewery, even if I'm drinking a ginger beer. I've gotten really into craft ginger beers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good. What's the yardstick here? Is it going to be if you continue to have bad trading weeks?
I start drinking again to cope?
Is that the yardstick?
I think I'm going to have to divorce my drinking journey from my trading journey. I don't, because what if it's like, well, I'll only have a drink when I do really bad. Well, that's every day,
Well, or you don't have drinks when the market's open the following day.
Good idea. I like that one.
Not that I'm encouraging this.
Wait, are you encouraging me to start drinking again or
no?
No.
You
have no dog in the fight.
Switzerland, yeah.
We've had some good nights out drinking though.
For sure.
So
Switzerland.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do either, but I have been told that the listeners are interested in my sobriety journey, so I will when I
I
let you
think
guys
everybody
know.
kicks that can around, like whether it's for a week or they do Sober January this month, which I've done a few times.
Are
Probably
you
will
doing it
do.
now?
Probably will.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I also went sober for a month before my wedding,
Mm-hmm.
so I think everyone is always interested in sobriety, whether it's short term, long term, indefinitely. So I think people are all, and certainly if you have any issues, I think you're very interested in other people's journeys. That's accountability. But
Yeah.
it's just a really interesting topic, and people want to know the good parts of it, the bad parts of it. So yeah, I think it is nice to keep people apprised
Yeah, I
if
think
you're
so
feeling up
too.
to it.
And I've been very public about why I stopped drinking and, the benefits of it and all of that. So I think I owe it to people to let them know. I will be honest and say that I had 2 glasses of wine on New Year's Eve. Didn't go
Yeah.
well. Didn't go well. I had the COVID.
Yeah.
Spent yesterday in the bed. Maybe COVID, maybe a headache, maybe the wine. I don't know. I'm unsure.
So people who are keeping track at home for like the pros and cons of
Mm-hmm.
sobriety, for Blaine, one of the cons is bad trading, being sober. So just mark that one down.
Yeah. A reason to keep on keeping on. Looking forward to season 3. We've got a lot of great guests lined up for you, a lot of good
Yes.
sponsors. I know you're going to
Yep.
enjoy listening to the advertisements.
Yep.
I think we hope to grow as traders. I know I do. I've got a nice set of rules I worked on all day today that
Okay.
my number one goal is to follow those rules.
Okay.
I'm gonna DM singles and doubles later and tell him it only took a year, but I'm on the straight and narrow now.
You got an accountability partner?
Well, yeah, I have two, AC always.
Yeah. Good.
My main trading partner, and Shark and I have become super close. He is probably, he's taught me a ton. And,
Mhm.
I'm in his room and didn't know anything about options, and now I'm basically just only trading options. I've learned some things.
I didn't know you were only trading options.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the plan this year? Is that part of the goal? Is to continue trading options?
Well, until small caps come back, and they're not coming back. They're just not. So Shark's been really, really great about that,
Nice.
as has so many other people that we've had on the podcast. Nate Davis has been so wonderful.
Yeah.
Adam and Coach Dipka have been so wonderful. And of course, Carrie Palmer. Did you listen to the Carrie Palmer episode?
Yes, but I don't remember when.
Is
A
the
while
bonus
ago?
no, I just released it,
No.
the bonus episode. If you haven't listened to it, you should.
I
It's
got the alert. I've not listened to
really,
it.
really good. It's the
Yeah.
longest one we've ever done.
Yikes.
It's a good one. Also, as we're wrapping up this preview, I want to give a huge shout out to Ellis for helping me out.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy. We really should do a podcast, the three of us.
Yeah. You know what? Throw that on the calendar.
Yeah.
Throw it on the calendar ASAP.
Yeah, he's great.
And we're going to rapid fire through some things.
Cool. All right. Well,
All
Shark's about to join us, so happy
Welcome to
2022,
Trey.
Justin.
Season
I
Trey.
hope it
Happy
is
2022.
healthy and prosperous.
Green. Very green.
LFG. Hello, and welcome to season 3 of the Penny Lane podcast. Shark, very happy to have you back for your second time. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year to both of you guys.
Happy New Year. How?
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you. How was your New Year?
It was great, kind of low key. I was visiting family for the holidays, so I've been down in South Florida, so I was able to escape some of the cold weather in New York. So I was happy to, mostly be with family, but also get some nice sunshine, which we are severely lacking up north right now. But,
do you watch the ball drop, the New York ball drop on New Year's Eve?
No, I mean I have before, but I didn't this time. No, I did not.
So
Did any of you guys see it?
I didn't, but Andy Cohen does it. And Andy Cohen, I think, is great and very funny, but I'm particularly interested in Andy Cohen because he's best friends with John Mayer, the love of my life. So
I didn't know that.
yes, it was the day Betty White died. And Andy Cohen was like, I got a special treat for you guys. John Mayer's here. And they cut to him live in his living room, and he did a little.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. He did a little song. I did see that part on CNN, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I've listened to it maybe 20 to 25 times, and
Oh, wow.
not made my crush on him any less. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're just laying it all out on the table here.
Have you ever invited him on the podcast?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to get, a petition for John Mayer on the Penny Lane pod.
I really do want to meet him, and I haven't like stalked him per se, but
that's what you have to say legally.
Yeah,
that's a legal disclaimer.
I got to know his interior designer on Instagram. Very stealthily.
But isn't he from Georgia? I think he has some roots in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
He does. Well, so does like 500 million people. I don't know how many people live in Georgia, but it's a lot. Just because you're from Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just most notable Forrest Gump. I don't know who else, to be honest.
Jimmy Carter was from Georgia. I think he's still alive. Yeah. Good old Jimmy.
Jimmy Carter he's still walking around. Yeah, he's good.
Okay. Anywho, I got to know John Mayer's interior designer, and I was like, I put a lot of Grateful Dead lyrics in my paintings. So I was like, I'm going to give him a painting, which I know sounds insane, but I've done it before. That's how I got to know Todd Gurley and AJ Green, by like connecting to their people, and I'm going to like do this painting. And it didn't go anywhere. John's not a fan of the paintings yet.
Have you ever met AJ Blue though, or AJ Red?
Oh,
AJ
great
Lawrence,
joke.
The rest of the family.
You see what he
Very
did there?
nice joke. Very nice joke.
That was my dad joke of that Sunday night. Sorry, I'm out. I'm out. That's it. Goodbye, everybody.
Blaine, if you had him on the podcast, would you talk stock markets and trading? Like, what would you like? You kind of have to, right? That's the premise of getting him on the show. But wouldn't that be such a bummer for you to have to just talk about that with him?
Well, it's my podcast, so I can do whatever I want.
Oh,
and I think I'd be like, oh, hi, I have you. Let's really get into when you were living in Montana in the woods with your dog and had to take the vow of, vocal chastity or whatever you took.
Well,
I really want to get into that with
it. Might be Sunday, closing to 10, but Penny over here is firing on all cylinders. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys wanted to talk about John Mayer. I didn't bring him up.
Yes, you did.
I know it. Something very exciting happened between you and me today on Twitter. There's been a lot of people involved in what's happened. You want to this is the day we're recording. You want to tell everyone what happened on Twitter today?
I'm not. My account got hacked. I think someone somehow followed you on there. I don't know exactly what had happened for the new year, but it's possible that
a deep investigation into what happened with your account. But I woke up this morning and you finally followed me after months of
contention and battling.
Pressure. Right.
You know what? Honestly, it's something in the New Year's I've been thinking about. I don't follow too many people, and I'm not trying to be, snobby about it, but it's just too much noise. But on the feed and stuff like that. But honestly, we've become good friends. I really appreciate what you're doing on the podcast for new traders, and being open and honest about your journey through this whole process, because it's not easy, and it takes a lot of vulnerability and honesty to go through the ups and downs with people. I think people can respect that. I think people can relate to that because, on Twitter, social media, you see a lot of, the fancy, all the positive things about trading, but not that many avenues talk about the ups and downs and how hard it is. And even being a professional trader like I am, you go through great highs and lows, but people obviously don't talk about the lows as much because that's not as flashy. That doesn't get, interactions maybe per se. But, I think what you're doing as far as being, open and honest about the struggles and everything is a great service to the community, a great voice, also for the female community, the female traders. So, I think it's, I thought to myself that it's right to support that. And yeah, so.
Thanks.
So
That was very
Blaine's
nice of you.
She's going to snip that, and that's now the new opening for the whole podcast.
Yeah, done. I've been wondering. Well, thank you for following me. Thank you for what you said. I thought you were going to have kind of a like smart alecky answer, but that was very kind. Appreciate it. So anyway, I had to go back in our first Twitter DMs from our first episode. And I never told you this, but you were coming on that night and Justin canceled on me last minute, which is fine. Happens sometimes, NBD. Mm-hmm. And I freaked out. Like, probably the worst. Justin has canceled on me a few times, and mm-hmm. I've made it work or gone on by myself or what. I've figured it out every time. But I really was freaking out about you and called Happy Gilmore and was like, "You've got to come on with me. Like, I can't do this. He's too big of a deal. He's like too big on Twitter. He knows too much what he's doing. I don't know anything about options. Like, I'm really, really freaking out." And Happy was like, "Blaine, you're going to be fine, but I can't help you." And I was like, "Okay." And then
I think it was a great episode. I think we had fun.
Right. I also asked Ben Killer if he would help me. I think I probably asked Berkey, but Berkey didn't know anything about options. I was sweating that episode more than any single other episode, and it is one of my favorites.
Well, it was a great episode. I thought it was good. It was natural. I thought it went well. So, I really appreciate you, inviting me on again. And now you're not so much a neophyte in the options world. You started to dip your toe in and starting mm-hmm. to learn some more. And I've seen you kind of taken a little liking to the short side. Funny enough,
mm-hmm.
you like those. You've been enjoying those puts, so that's been interesting. Especially coming from the small cap world where you're kind of forced to ride it long so many times. So So now you're getting your feet wet in the ocean, so to speak. So.
Well, right. I don't know if Justin, do you want to tell the story about my first thought of, we've told it so many times, when I first started trading, what my first idea was?
Shorting penny stocks.
That was why I started trading. I was like, these can't go up forever, so I'll just short them.
Yep.
And I found
There's
out
people
about
that make money doing that. So
mm-hmm.
There's definitely people that make money doing that.
So brass tacks here, Blaine, you have just spilled the beans that the past couple weeks have been not very good trading. Obviously, the market for,
you mean for
small
me?
caps and small caps have not been good in the market. Are you also doing poorly trading options?
No.
Oh. Well,
she says that with she says that with such a face and a tone of disdain.
I know. Yeah, that's been really, really hard. Because Shark reminds me every freaking day. My options account is green.
So it's kind of like, why not just do more of that?
Mm-hmm.
No,
it's been really hard though, and I know that there's no reason to be emotional about it or like why I care but I have so many emotions wrapped up into it that it has been hard.
You know what though? And I always tell you this, you're still, learning who you are as a trader. And I think a lot of traders go through this process. I mean, myself, I started in the small cap world, and I was very intimidated by options. It's definitely a lot to kind of, people say delta, gamma, this and that, and it gets very confusing. But everyone has to kind of find their own niche, whether that could be small caps, or, shorting small caps, or whether that's only playing puts or longs or a mix of both or whatever it is. So, you have to think of it as, obviously it's an ongoing journey on discovering who you are, and wherever that takes you is kind of, the beautiful part of it, because you don't know, just as long as you can be open to it, I think, um, I was scared at first, but I learned, and, I fell in love. So.
Well, there's been something very, very comforting about it, because when Ariel, Real Simple Ariel, really taught me like his process of trading, which is basically just looking at the daily chart and then looking for something that on the higher time frame looks like it wants to break out, and then find one that's like really respecting EMAs, and you can just get in that and like give it a wide stop loss and just sort of ride that trade. And that was really life changing for me. I loved that so much, but the market wasn't doing that anymore. So like those plays weren't happening as much. So it was really hard, because I found my thing and I loved it. And I loved that the trades took several hours. He called them intraday swings, and it was just like comforting, and my mind worked, and I was having a lot of success. And then the plays weren't working. But I very much like with options that I can do the opposite of, like, I can buy this at the 9 or the 20 or whatever. And as long as it doesn't break above this EMA, I can remain in this for a little while. And that was my rule with Ariel, was I can stay in this trade until the 15-minute candle closes below the 20 EMA. And it's been a very like nice thing in my brain to flip flop that sort of. And I've enjoyed bringing that knowledge over. That's made it feel really good for me.
Yeah. No, I love those intraday swings. It's kind of more my personal style as well when it comes to, scalping or what. I would much rather, instead of being in and out of the same trade, 3 or 4 times, I would rather take one trade and try to ride it, for an hour, as long as I can, and get a good chunk off that. And, less is more,
Yeah.
For me, but obviously it's different for everyone and their personality. So.
It's also been really nice learning how to trade on Thinkorswim versus Webull. I just have a really huge problem with Webull, because it feels like I'm trading completely blind, and I'm having to like look at my phone and then my desktop and then another app on my phone, and I cannot like.
Well, they have a
see
desktop.
the trade.
Webull has a desktop.
I did that last week,
I don't know.
and
I've
I
never
just
used it.
can't.
Yeah.
I just can't. But like, I know how to watch a trade on Thinkorswim, so anyway, it's all sort of worked out in a way that makes my mind not hurt, and that I don't like trading in ways that make my mind hurt.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's going well. And honestly, I have really you to thank for that. And I've said on Twitter a lot, but I'll say in the podcast too, you've given me such a wide berth with that, and haven't put any pressure on me, and let me come to my own conclusions, and also sort of given me the freedom to figure out what I like about options and what I don't like. And I really think that's such a mark of such a wonderful teacher. So
thank you.
Thank you for that.
Are you trying to trade more options in 2022, Blaine, or just continue?
Here's the big question. Here we are. Drum roll.
So I spent all day making rules. Or I made a goal, and my only goal is to follow these rules. That's the only goal. So then I had to make the rules, and that took all day. Was super inspired by single and doubles rules though, and spent all day doing it. And the only play that I don't want to give up from my commons play is Brad's opening hammer candy rule. That's my favorite play in trading. So I'm trying to figure out a way to, like, if I could play that, and I don't know exactly
the hammer
what I'm
candy.
do.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
It's basically just like A small cap that like is really, really, really up pre-market and has a ton of volume, like one of the top 2 or 3 volume in pre-market. And then it's like a massive opening flush and you watch the 5 minute candle, which hopefully will create like a very, very long lower wick and then hammer and turn red to green. And then you buy it the minute it turns green. And then like 90% of the time it'll halt up and then you sell on the unhalt. It's my favorite play,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
really good at it. So I don't want to give that play up, but playing small caps after 10:30 is a real way for me to give back a lot of money. So
Yeah.
Well, it still
anyway,
happens that opening flush, it happens across the market, so you can still utilize that as long as you have your levels, mapped out in the large cap world, because that happens, often, as well. You get that, 935 to 945 flush, and then it will start to, the market will start to, recover and the buyers will come in. So it happens across the board.
What are you guys working on, Blaine, when you're trading with Shark and Shark, when you're mentioning things to Blaine, are they large cap options or something different?
No, yeah, large caps for sure.
Okay. Got it. And then Blaine, are you focusing on one particular industry there, or are you focused more on some watch lists and indicators rather than a particular industry?
there's so many like trigger lists, I guess, that get put out
Mm-hmm.
every day at the end of the market or the next morning. And I, I've spent a lot of time looking at those and trying to figure those out. And it is just like I was saying earlier, like one of those things that kind of makes my brain hurt. And Shark doesn't really do that, which I like. Maybe you have your own watch list that I just don't know about or don't look at or whatever, but it feels very much more of a like, I will just take what the market gives me type of approach, which doesn't give me as much anxiety.
But you would have to have a watch list in the morning, no? In order just to see where volume is if you're using
I only
starting
trade like
indicator
4 stocks. I don't have to have a watch list. I just trade
fair enough.
the same 4 stocks
If
every
you're
day.
on large,
So
yeah, I guess if you're on large cap, then I guess you could have your same list of for large cap stocks. I think it's
LCD lanes.
LCID,
Yeah,
Lucid,
LCID.
yeah,
There you go.
Lucid.
favorite. I really thought that I could like kill CCL on options, but I can't. It's doesn't go quite as well for me.
Are
Play
there
a
a
lot of it.
lot of is there a lot of open interest in CCL?
People play
Yeah,
CCL for
CCL is
options
decent.
a lot.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I like
Yeah.
CCL. Yeah, CCL.
Um,
It's actually a fun. I actually like to trade that one too. That's on one of my my trade lists as far as one of my tickers for a down name. Because usually the down names, they don't have as wide of an ATR. Like if you think of a down name like PFE, like Pfizer, a big day for Pfizer would be 3%, something like that. Where on like say for instance a growth stock like like Lucid, you can do 8%, 9% in a day. That's a way wider range to be able to potentially trade with. But CCL is one of the down names that actually has some range. It can do 6% in a day, which is nice. It's always good to have a backup. Those kind of like wider ATR stocks within each industry or within each index that could provide you with good trading opportunities. Because, for example, another one that I like for at least the banks for financials is Wells Fargo,
Mm-hmm.
because like Bank of America, excuse me, JPM, Goldman Sachs, they again only 2%, 3% a big day for one of those names. But Wells Fargo again can do 4%, can do 3.5, I've seen it do 5 or 6% on a really hot day. So that's something that sticks out for me as something that maybe that I want to keep on the back burner, because you can't always, not every bullish day is going to be consistent of the NASDAQ or IWM or SPY names, which are obviously the most common ones to play. Usually the Dow is more like synonymous with kind of like boomer stock names, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, Walmart, BA, although BA can move.
BA can move. There's some airlines that'll move pretty good.
Yeah. I've seen AA make some great moves. Delta, DAL's made some nice moves before. So yeah, the airlines can get moving for sure. Just depending.
Spirit's been known to dump.
Yeah, well, Spirit, yeah.
Justin, I made the best trade on AAL the other day and thought of you. I almost texted
amazing.
You. It's such a good trade.
Yeah, Blaine helped me understand that I didn't have to have special permission to trade pre-market. I thought I did. It's like level 2 option trading. I was like, I can't trade pre-market. I'm a nobody. She was like, yeah, you can. You just do it. And it was pretty easy to
change. Well, you got to change the order
type. But but I had no idea. I'd never considered like other order types besides limit, stop limit, but that's not even, so the order type being smart or, good to kill,
time and force.
It's time and force. There you go. That's the term. And I had no idea I just didn't know that I could do that. And
so you're mostly in the commons. You're mostly in the commons arena.
Yeah. But that was life-changing. So thanks, Blaine.
Right.
Appreciate that.
You're so
welcome. We have another
You're
convert.
So
we have another
God,
convert.
I can do that.
I like options a lot. I think we're a little lagged, but I get the gist. I like options.
Yeah.
They're the best. I feel like options take more time in front of it takes more screen time to figure out what you're doing, figure out back test, figure out strategy. I feel like there's more to it. There's more effort that goes into it. Is that right or wrong?
I think it could be right and wrong.
Damn. What would Shark say?
No, better bring an expert.
I think in the sense that you have to have some understanding of the Greeks, but
just so we're clear on the podcast, my understanding of the Greeks is nothing. Except beta, which I understand. But the others, I could get hung up on that forever and be like, I got to understand all this shit. No, I can't. I can't. It's too abstract a concept. So I had to throw that out of the window. And now I just have no grasp of it. But we're doing fine. We're doing fine.
You're letting Shark down.
I know.
No.
Absolutely set up to be his biggest disappointment of a student ever. But I think I think we already know that. So
no, honestly, I definitely, I think we're the biggest, and I think I said this on the last podcast. The biggest thing that people do wrong, one of them is they'll pick strikes too far out of the money. So, as long as you have, you're either in the money or at the money, your delta is fine. And then really, you want to look at your implied volatility. Obviously, if it's too high, if you're in any kind of a threat of an IV crush, and your theta. And I mean, after that, as far as scalping or intraday trading, obviously you need the contracts to be liquid. But besides that, I mean, there's not really much else. There's other strategies, that traders can use that where the Greeks are more, important, delta neutral strategies if you're selling premium, other things like this. But when you're just doing single leg directional plays, it's not, as long as you're in the money or at the money, your delta is going to be at least 30 or 40. So you're good on that area. And as long as your theta isn't, $1 or $2, so you're going to be burning away your premium, then, you're okay. But, it can be, trading can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. And usually it's better just to keep it as simple as possible because otherwise it's hard enough as it is to execute.
Maybe that's more, I guess, what I'm geared towards is on the option side. There's a lot of strategies on the option side that you can pick from. I just think this is going to sound so stupid, but there's just a lot of options. But there really are, though. I mean, it's true. There are.
Yeah. The Iron Condor, Diagonal, Straddle.
You got
all those
strike
type of
price
things.
and expiration dates, and it's not just. I mean, if you come up with a common play, it's usually one-dimensional, right? But now you're talking about how to get two-dimensional or three-dimensional with some of these trades.
Right. That's
really
a cool way.
more what
That's
I
an
meant.
interesting way to think of it, though. How options can be like that. But that's true. I know a lot of professional traders. They'll buy a certain strike and calls, but then they'll sell puts against it.
Yep.
And
Take
all
them
this kind of
spreads.
thing to cover their costs, or and that gets into a whole other ball game. But
So you don't
it's
do
not
that.
something not something that I personally get into. But it doesn't mean that they're not valid or they can't be money making strategies by any means.
Do you remember on the Dr. Bullshark episode, Justin, when he was telling us his strategy about on earnings plays buying calls and puts, and one's going to lose you a lot of money, but one will make you a ton of money?
No, Bunny, yeah. Shout out to Bunny Shark in the tank here. I don't know if he'll hear this, but yeah, he was doing that. He was buying a leg on each side. One of them would go to say 50 or 60, maybe negative, and he would cut it. But the other one would end up going to 150 or 200. I'm not sure, if he mapped how it ended up at the end, but I think he had a couple of plays that really did very nicely. I think he got, 800% or something on Docu. I can forget the trade, but he killed it on a few trades, where the ratio between his loss and his win were way, way off. They could, you never know. It's certainly a strategy. It could work.
Well,
I've never really done it too much.
Dr. Bullshark was talking about that strategy, and I was like captivated. I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This is my new thing. Like, of course,
right, next earnings season.
I have a high tolerance for pain, as you know. So I'm like, I could, very risky. I think I could do it. And somebody reached out to me on Twitter, and they were like, Blaine, please, God, no. Like, just you can
lose on both of them. Believe it or not, you can. And I don't know, that's options, and just like I got because you think, how could I lose? I got calls, I got puts, but if it doesn't move within what the market makers have priced in, with the IV, you can lose on both. And, so that, that can happen, and it doesn't always work. But you think that, if only it was that easy, you could just buy both and one will win, but it works a decent amount of time, but you still will have those flyers that you lose on both. So.
I'm going to do it one day. That's right up my alley.
Well, next earning, one contract only then.
Okay. 3 months away. Or 3 weeks. Yeah. That's like 3 weeks away.
I know. I know. I feel like we just got out of earnings season. I don't know. We're coming back into it.
Yeah, the first should start in about 3 weeks. Who goes first? Banks go first? I don't know. It's like in 3 weeks.
I believe so. I think Banks. Yeah. Wow. Oh man. Wow.
It's close. Blaine, you're ready. I'm ready. And how about Wells Fargo? He said it moves a lot. How about Wells Fargo? Start doing some research.
That could be your first play.
How about 2 each?
Okay. All right. Let's calm down a little.
Well, now that I don't have PDT anymore, who cares?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if this is the right approach, though. No.
Yeah. We'll see.
You're gonna be amending your rules by the 3rd week of January.
By tonight. The ink hasn't dried on the rules yet.
Irrational exuberance? When it comes to killer wine at drastically low prices, 30 to 70% off retail and free shipping. We live for that here at Last Bottle Wines. Whether you went long or short on GameStop, you'll need a glass of something terrifically tasty. And we've got the goods. Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa, California. One wine every day at Black Swan event prices. Usually 30 to 70% off. Until poof, it's gone. Whether you're a pound-the-table type, think ultra-crisp, quaffable Sauvignon Blanc, or a dividend aristocrat, Burgundy, or Napa Cab, there simply is no better place to buy wine on the web. And they always have free shipping. Last Bottle has a deal just for Penny Lane listeners. Use promo code PENNY, that's PENNY, to save 10% off your next order with Last Bottle. The code is good for one order and one order only, and it expires March 11th, 2022. So head over to lastbottlewines.com today. That's lastbottlewines.com.
Hit us with one goal, because Blaine and I were talking about our goals for the podcast. Hit us with one goal for this year for you that is, I want a unique one. I don't want just like monetary goals or learning goals.
No, sure.
Hit me
Yeah,
with something good.
I posted them on Twitter yesterday. I spent a few hours working on them. It took me quite a bit of the day. And let me just let me look it up here, because I have them obviously on my computer, but I don't have them memorized in the back
Are
of my
you
head
a
yet.
reviewer like every morning? Like, do you have them on your mirror, or is this a once a month thing, or is this like December 31st? You're like, hey, did I do any of these things?
Well, this is for the year, something that that we do in the Shark Tank, and it kind of goes into my format for my yearly goals. Is we have a daily report card that we work on, or that we grade ourselves in every single day, and basically we'll set one goal. Whatever it is, whether it be risk management, consistency, execution, um, you know, um, trade management, whatever it might be, we set that one goal, and then we grade ourselves each day on how we do on that goal. And what the idea is that we're trying, focused, intentional goal setting. So I'm on my goals. I'm not only listing, okay, I want to work on my risk management skills. You can check out on Twitter. I posted, all my goals for the year that I'm really trying to focus on. But I posted, and risk management is one of the ones that I want to continue working on. But I posted sub points, on how I'm actually going to achieve those goals, and that's where it comes into, the focused, intentional part of it. You just don't want to say, I want to, work on my risk management. I want to, refine my playbook. How are you going to do those things? And, this technique can even be utilized in your everyday life, whether it's overeating or dealing with some kind of other a habit in your life that you want to change. You can't just say, I want to stop overeating. Well, you have to list out, well, how am I going to redirect my focus for when I feel the urge to do these things in a different and more positive way. So something I think that was interesting for me, and I'm looking it up now, is execution. Because, at the end of the day, this is a performance sport. Trading is very much like being in the NBA, the NFL, any high level Olympic or professional kind of, competition or however you want to put it. So it doesn't matter, how many times what happens or how many times you get past the ball, for example, in basketball or the hockey puck. What matters is how you execute when that comes to you. So for me, something that I've been kind of thinking of and is visualization. In the morning, I want to start to, and I have been doing this, but it's my kind of goal this year to focus on this more, actually visualizing the trade working out in front of me, visualizing me executing flawlessly before the trade even happens. You see yourself in your mind doing these things correctly, managing your risk, staying calm, staying level-headed, and then when the situation actually, and you drill that, in your mind, and then when the situation actually comes into your present tense, you have a foundation or a mental blueprint on how to actually execute, because you've rehearsed this in your head beforehand. For people that follow me, on Twitter, I've alluded to, I'm a huge Rocky fan. I put in my notes here. There's a great line from Rocky 5 where Rocky goes into the old gym from Mickey, from where he learned how to box. And at this point, Mickey has passed away, and he's kind of remembering Mickey training him, in this beatdown gym in his mind. And it goes to this, flashback. And Mickey says to him, you see yourself do right and you do right, and I'm kind of really trying to internalize that or bring that inside of me with this kind of visual practice. I'm seeing myself execute perfectly before I do it, because trading is so mental, and so, you've got $1,000 or whatever your account size is, $2,000 or, again, 500, whatever's big to your account or whatever, you're putting your hard work money, on the line. That's the shot that you're making when you're, 90-90 and it's the last 3 seconds, in the playoff game. How are you going to react? Every trade is like that, and so I think it's so important to put yourself in that state of mind, feel those feelings before they actually happen, and internalize them, so you can execute under being cool as a cucumber, because you're used to it. You've watched it in your head. You've visualized you taking that shot, scoring that goal. So that's been a big thing for me that I'm trying to focus on, execution, visualization, and drilling those trades. The trades that I win, I want to go back on demand and see how I could have done them better, see where I did right, see what I did wrong. And conversely, the trades that I did poorly on, I want to go back and drill them, look how I could have done them better, how I could have done them worse, both perspectives on the winners and the losers. Because obviously the winners are great, but you could always do them better. And the losers are a great opportunity to see your weaknesses and where you fell short and how you can correct those. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you, because that was a unique one, and really, really cool, but really impactful. I have to just go back to one thing you said, because it was, to me, one of the most important things. I got to appeal to all the sports fans like you did. If you think about, like, if you shoot a free throw in basketball, like a lot of people go through the free throw motion before they shoot it, right? That's visualization. Or if you're a golfer, I mean, how many idiots swing golf clubs like 18 times before they hit the ball, right?
Right.
And you're kind of visualizing your swing. You should be thinking about the ball flight. But what a lot of people don't do is the last step of what you said, which was feel those feelings of what it is to have hit that shot or made that free throw or the successful trade, right? There's the last part of it that I don't know that people do, or I know that I at least personally don't do, which feels like the most impactful thing, right? What does it feel like to be successful if you took those 2 legs on earnings day and you hit the 800%, right? If you thought about that beforehand, did you feel what it was like to hit the 800? Like, that's a really big step at the end of that you mentioned. I hope that's not lost on people. That's a huge part. That's really cool.
As someone who has witnessed you do this, like, you're not bullshitting when you say that. Like, me and Tyson and Booch have our own side Discord convo, and I mean, it is just full of like, how is he doing this? How is he doing this? Like, we're all like, in our own like trades or whatever. And I think Tyson said, like, it's moments like this that I really learn from Shark. It's really inspiring, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really, like, I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that, because I feel like that's I have a lot of how can I say this? I have a lot of interests, also kind of metaphysically, not only or philosophically,
You have a lot of
besides
feelings.
trading and and that step is kind of very big and kind of a lot of metaphysical concepts of not only thinking, because that's the intention behind it, which is the first step in kind of like a physical or like a physical or a reality manifestation. And I'm sorry, I hate to get too kind of ethereal with this, but the
I think
last final
we're
step,
there.
which is most important, is feeling those feelings. And I'll also try to feel what it feels like to lose at the same time, you know, um, and because you have to be ready for that as well. But having those feelings is the next step, besides having the first initial intention to kind of um, push it into reality, I guess, for a lack of a better term. And I know that's kind of very frou-frou or, too metaphysical, but it's, you'd be surprised about how much, this mental game and all that kind of stuff impacts your performance as a trader. And it's huge.
I think your ability to stay calm under pressure is, I mean, that's the like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Bubba Watson, my man. That's like
Those
what
people on the same plane level.
yeah, that's the Blaine heroes.
Okay.
But that kind of ability to like go wherever you go in your mind and be very calm while executing that is something I'm sure you've worked very hard for, but seems like magic to me. It's very cool. So, what do you say to someone like me, who I think I am like the duck thing, right? Like I'm fairly calm and I don't like outwardly show that I'm freaking out, but then like inside it's like boiling and I am always freaking out. And there are other people like that. Like what would you say would be the first step to would it just be like stepping back or taking less trades or being more intentional, or what would be like the first thing?
That's something that, when we kind of reconnected to kind of talk about maybe some of the things that we would kind of discuss on the podcast, and that's this kind of segues into that, which I did kind of want to touch upon, because I know that you had a great episode with Singles and Doubles, who is awesome, and I really enjoy his content. Great trader, great guy. He went over some of his trading rules. I think, right? That's what it was, his trading kind of rules, or
Yep. Yeah.
on one of his podcasts that you mentioned. I personally also have like an emotional tracker, emotional trading checklist too, that I go through, that I would love to maybe share with you guys. But kind of segueing into that, or a preference to that, to your question, is awareness and having self-awareness, because the first thing is that when we start to realize that we're if we can't realize that we're trading on tilt, and that meaning that we're trading from a place of emotional decisions rather than logical ones, um, if you cannot step back and first off have awareness of you getting into that place emotionally, then you are basically in a passive role to your emotions, and you have no control over them at all. So I think the first thing is to be aware of your emotional state throughout the day, if you're an active day trader or an active trader. Almost from a stoicism point of view too, from Marcus Aurelius, who talks about taking, like, viewing if you were viewing your life, you view it from a third person, almost if you were a video game, not watching, not from your point of view, but if you were watching from the third person behind your shoulder. And what would you be thinking if you were watching someone else in a movie or a video game, like in a horror movie, when the person runs down the clearly dangerous path, they've got like two paths to go down, and they go down like the clearly more dangerous pathway that they could have picked.
Sure.
And then you watching them and saying, "Oh my God, why is this idiot doing this and going down this way? This is the obvious way that you shouldn't be going down."
Sure.
Well, if you can step away and start to foster that self-awareness and look outside of yourself, as you start to get into this, that's going to be the most important thing, because then you're not taking that passive role. Then you're starting to take a more active role in your emotional state in the present. And that's going to be the most important thing for you to be able to start to change and shift your actions in that moment, so you don't make bad decisions, so you don't lose money, so you don't revenge trade or FOMO or do any of those million things that are
all my
the
specialties.
the common mistakes that most traders make.
Singles and doubles like privately reached out to me and gave me that advice too. He was like, in the morning, just write down like 2 sentences about how you feel. And then at lunchtime, if you take a break, write down exactly how you're feeling. And then at the end of the day, write down how you're feeling, which is I really loved, because there's such a strong sect of people who are like, you have to be emotionless. You have to be a robot. You have to, you can't have feelings when you trade. And that's impossible for me. So it's sort of like, how do you sort of harness those feelings to make it something useful to you, or make it a power for you, instead of, because the more you say, like, the more I'm like, I can't have any emotions when I trade, the more emotions I have.
Right. Well, we're not going to be, no one expects us to be robots, but, but that's where having that self-awareness, I think, really comes into. I took a really nice hit against my portfolio about a month and a half ago, and I was talking to one of the other sharks who's become a good friend, Champagne Shark, and we came up with a nice little saying, because trading is so it sucks you in, so we were saying, like, you get lost in the sauce. So I've been having this new saying: you get lost in the sauce, you end up with a big loss.
Ooh, a little
That's
rhyme.
kind of been yeah, exactly. I'm a poet also. That's my part-time job. But you get sucked in, and you're going to be making bad decisions. So if you can pull yourself out of that, and again, that comes into the self-awareness, asking yourself, how are you feeling right now? Angry, frustrated, lost, anxious. If this is going in your mind, you got to take a step back, close the broker, walk away, go walk your dog, go outside, go look at the clouds for 10 minutes, go punch a punching bag if you have one in your garage, whatever it is that, go make yourself a snack, whatever it is that takes yourself out of, that emotional state at that time is going to be, really important, to being able to combat those common feelings that everybody feels.
Blaine, have you ever heard of this book? Can you see that?
No, I can see it. Gosh, I want to read it too.
Emotional Intelligence from Daniel Goleman. It is super boring. It's maybe like the most, it starts off as like, it's all science, right? It's talking about the amygdala and like your neurotransmitters, like the brain technology of it. But it's probably like one of the most important, because there's so many facets of emotional intelligence, like 16 characteristics essentially. But, part of it is like self-awareness and being balanced and being mindful, like Shark was talking about, right? So it's not that you have these emotions, it's that you properly recognize them and then determine what to do with them. And so this guy, Daniel Goleman, was like, I guess, the father of emotional intelligence. Again, you can read this. I'll give it to you. It's really boring. If you can get through it, you'll learn a lot, but it's not fun. It's not a good read.
I'm trying to read VPA by Anna Cooling. Having a lot of trouble, and that I'm very interested in. So I don't know if I could take on another book.
Another snoozer.
It's a great book, though. It's a great book.
I'm halfway through, and I'm fighting the good fight. Anyway, I'm doing it. You got to do it.
Are these books? Do you have books on your 2022 goal list? Are they mostly trading books?
I read a lot of trading books.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle. Oh, I just got we do some contests in the Shark Tank. We'll do something like guess, the closing price of SPY or other kind of different, contests. But yeah, I'm actually I got a bunch of copies of this book called Mindset, the new Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck that I was recommended to by someone that runs a prop shop in New York City. And so I got a bunch of copies of this. This is something that I'm going to be reading, I'll probably be going over it for the next maybe quarter or so, because let me see how many, I got it right here. It's not that bad. It's about 300 pages, but I'll probably go through it once, mark it down, and then go back and kind of go over different sections. And, I don't read a book like one time. I'll try to read it once and then go back and spend some time with it and really get to know it. So that's kind of a book personally that I've been looking at so far for this year, but I don't have any other ones off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
You read this book twice. You should be locked away in an insane asylum for the record.
Well, if you can get through it, right?
I know it got so much PR this year, and it's been recommended by everybody and their mother. But I read Atomic Habits twice this year. It's a good book. You go. It's a really good book.
Yeah, Atomic. I like that one, and also The Power of Habit is another one that I really like.
Is that the one with the wheel?
Yes, I have it. Yeah, I have it right here.
Have you guys read
Power by Charles Duhigg? Yeah, it's really good. I really recommend it.
Have you guys read
my thing is lagging, so I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah, I have read that, but I don't remember it, so clearly didn't make massive impact.
I just wasted 20 hours because I don't remember it.
Have you guys read The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up?
No.
No,
I've been recommended it a lot, and I think I might do it just to.
Okay.
For the
all right.
title.
Well, we'll have to put it on the. I'll have to look it up. And put it in the show notes. Put all the books.
Put it in the show notes. I'm also reading Trading in the Zone for like the 50th time.
There you go.
And you just can't stop reading that book. It's just continually good.
This should be like an off the record conversation, but we're going to put it on the record because this is how, apparently we're just not very smart. Shouldn't we put all of these books in the show note and link them to an Amazon store, and then we get credit if people buy them?
Justin, we've been doing that for 2 seasons.
On Amazon, but to Amazon stuff?
Yeah, we have an Amazon store on the website, on the Penny Lane Pod website, and then every Amazon link is an affiliate link. We've made about $10 from recommending books. So
can people buy books but send them to me?
As like a tip?
Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yeah,
I don't know how to do that, but you could put in the effort to find it out.
Thank you for your forethought. I really appreciate it. So
there we go, making big money moves. $10.
$10, mostly from trading in the zone.
Next step, $1 million.
That's an option trade right there. You can have a nice little leg. You can have one of 2 legs on your
we'll buy
Wells Fargo
500.
trade.
We'll buy 500 calls on SPY expiring tomorrow for 20 cents, for 2 cents.
I spent a really long time reverse engineering the income that I want for next year. I spent like several hours doing that today, and I sent it to Shark, and I was like, all right, this is how I'm going to make my money that I have to make. And he was like, no, you did that wrong. I was like, the math, I had to do math. I had my iPhone calculator out. I had to addition. I had to subtract. I put all this effort in. He's like,
well,
no.
Is that
well, that is true.
I kept using the term reverse engineering to Jimmy, like, don't you worry about this. I'm going to reverse
and it was
engineer.
addition and subtracting.
Yeah. I took the money I wanted to make, and then I just kept like
taking it down to a day or to a trade. I'm really glad you don't work for like Blue Origin or anything that revolves reverse engineering.
Well, that kind of goes in.
know the term, what reverse engineering means. So I was also making up the term while doing the complicated addition and subtract. It took hours.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
Lord.
I know.
Well, this kind of goes into something that I think that could be helpful for people. And the reason why I said no.
Do you mean people, or do you mean me specifically?
You represent a large portion of the population.
For your beautiful listeners, for your beautiful listeners here on the Penny Lane podcast. No, and the reason of why I said no is because when you're focusing on the money, you're focusing more, you're being more of a outcome or results-oriented trader. And professional traders are process oriented. I think at the beginning, I did pretty decently through December. I'm running a challenge account. I did pretty decently, but I think in the beginning of December, I had maybe 3 or 4 losses in the first week, I think, or something like that. And that's fine. And that's a part of that. Didn't bother me because I'm not looking at things as far as results oriented, because I know that my strategies in the long term, i.e. the process, are winning strategies, for right now, because that's, this is how the market is right now. So, amateurs are results oriented. That means, you have one outcome. I lost on a trade, it's a bad trade. I won on a trade, that's a great trade. That's result-oriented thinking, and you're missing constructive learning opportunities from your trades that tend to be from like impulsive trading and do not have like a long-term mindset. Where process-oriented traders, professionals, they trade or they judge their trades based on how they make their decisions. Did they adhere to the rules and it's a winner? Yes, great job. A trade, perfect. A loss, no big deal, because you you followed your rules. But you know that in the long term, it's still going to be a winning strategy. If you lose, a process-oriented trader, if you broke your rules and you win, it's luck, and if you lose, you get what you deserve, and this happened to me maybe 3 or 4 days ago. I kind of had to trade myself a little bit out of a hole on some SPY trade. I ended up making 7% on the day, but when I did my daily report card, I gave myself a C. I actually felt kind of dirty about getting the 7% on the day versus I think on Friday, I had 2 winning trades, but my execution was nearly perfect. It wasn't 100% perfect. And I gave myself an A, but I only made 4% on my account. And that's kind of judging yourself between that results and process-oriented thinking. Even though I was up 7% on the other day, I made more money. So on paper, yes, it should have been a great day. But because I didn't execute and I didn't trade as cleanly as I could have, I got a little on tilt. I traded a little results-oriented and results-oriented thinking. I didn't feel as proud as how I traded. So that's why I told you that just focusing on, okay, my first month I'm going to make, I'm going to bring my $5,000 account to $8,000, and then in the next month I'm going to bring it to 15,000. The next month I'm going to bring it to 20. No, what we need to focus on is following our rules, following our game plan, good best practices throughout the trading day. If you focus on those things, the money follows as a natural result. When you focus on the money, you lose the money. When you focus on trading well, you make the money. It's kind of counterintuitive, because everyone wants to focus on making money, and judging your progress on how much money you made. That's not correct. You got to focus it on how you followed your rules, your trading plan. That's the most important thing.
I'm going to make a comment only because I think that you'll like it, and it harkens back to our first episode. But one of my favorite things about painting, which I love to relate my trading to my painting, but there's so much of that, of like getting in the flow by just following the process and doing the process. And like, if you just go to the studio and get your brushes out and you mix your colors and you do this, like there's so much about doing the work and following the process that you don't even, like, the painting just comes, right? Like, if I know that if I go to the studio and I get in my flow or whatever, I don't have to worry at all about the painting. I'm 100% certain it's going to come. And the reason I do that is because of this quote for artists: when the muse comes, let the muse find you working. So like, it's not my job to be the muse, right? It's not my job to create the painting. It's my job to go and do my process and work and keep working and keep working. And like, it's sort of like luck favors the brave type thing. But I do think that like focusing so much on that process, I am now at a point in my painting career where it's 0% focused on the results, because it doesn't even matter, because I know the process so well is going to give me that result. So
how many one-liners did you just say that are Taylor Swift or John Mayer songs?
Like what?
Luck favors the brave, or it's not my job to be. Yeah, I don't know why I threw
that one in.
Or it's not my job to be the muse, or what was it? I'm not the painter. I'm the.
Well,
there was a lot of.
I don't
there
want
was
to
a lot of
bash
Taylor
on
Swift
John
songs in
Mayer.
there.
I don't want to bash on John Mayer, but my question is, how do you know that these are John Mayer references? I mean, that's
like
my
John
next
Mayer.
question.
No,
Okay.
I like John Mayer.
Just so we're putting it on the table. Okay.
Also, I don't hate on Taylor Swift either.
Sure. That was a long thing I said, wrapped in cliche, to tell you the one I wanted to say was, when the muse comes, let the muse find you.
Well, there you go. We have some Taylor Swift fans in the tank. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear there's another male out there that's grooving. Broken Spaces. Broken Spaces is a good song. I'll admit it.
See, I think
I'll admit I'm man enough to admit that.
Shark, I told you I'm building this playlist with my friend Adam of only the best songs, and I spend way too long on it every day. They have to be songs that you discover yourself, and they have to immediately catch you, and it's supposed to be like the ultimate playlist of all playlists. And we got into a very, very deep discussion, because I was like, Justin Bieber has to be on the playlist. You don't have a best songs of all time and not include the Beats.
All right, this is a perfect time for the ending. I think this is
Shark, you don't have to listen to this part. You don't have to listen to this part. But Justin, if you're going to Justin Bieber, greatest song of all time, are you going to go Holy or Peaches?
Holy.
Oh, Lord.
Interesting. We went Peaches.
Well, to each their own, no?
To each their own. I personally
I'm going with Apples to 180, 185. That's what I'm going for. Okay. What? Apple and Microsoft, it's the only thing holding up the market right now.
Look at that.
Okay, so here's the professional. Here's the professional. Anyway, I personally like Holy more, but I went with Peaches. Catchier, poppier.
Before we close, though, does anyone have any predictions for the year, for the market? Should we kind of, just saying that coming into the new year? What does everyone think coming into this new year for the market?
Thank you for asking.
We're going to hit 500.
No one's ever asked my opinion on the market before, I feel like.
Hit us, Blaine.
Um,
Got a lot of
I'm
things going on this year.
I'm a really big believer in that we're experiencing like a backlash from the AMC GME situation. And that the like algorithms are different, and there's so many people who are saying that this is the hardest market they've ever people have been trading, I guess 10 years or so. They're like, this is the hardest market I've ever traded.
Well, if you can make it through this, then that means that
I'm really hanging my hat on that. I'm still here. I think I'm going to be okay. But I don't see any of that changing just because it's a new year.
Okay,
so I think you got to just figure out how to find something that works in this market. I certainly, since August, have been like, August, we're out of summer. Things are going to be better.
It certainly doesn't feel like a swing trade market. I have to say that.
Yeah.
Much. Seems like it's safer just to be in and out throughout the day and not, but a lot of volatility, obviously.
But it's also like so difficult because I talk to people who aren't in the trenches as much as me, and they're like, market's doing great.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it you read the Morning Brew every morning and you're like, we're chugging along. And I'm like, not chugging anywhere.
So it's interesting because the S&P is up over 1,000 points on the year. I mean, it opened below, I think it was like 3,700 or something in January. And we're at what are we at? 4,700 something? I mean,
I think we hit 47. I think we had a sharp sell-off on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm upset. I'm upset with myself because I meant to get calls at the end of the day, Friday.
But
what can you do?
It's like 1,000 points this year, which is, big coming off COVID. But I kind of feel like it's going to happen again. I have a controversial take. I think cryptos are going to do nothing this year. I don't think they're going to go down. I don't think Bitcoin's going to 100,000 in 2022.
Interesting.
Well, crypto is great to kind of look at because you also kind of get a sense on whether the market is sensing a risk on or risk off type of move.
Yeah.
If you see crypto growth moving, it's kind of a risk on type of environment. If they're selling off, maybe not so because you see big money moving into more safer type of asset categories. We have a lot of things obviously on the horizon with tapering, with interest rates. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year. Hopefully more of a calm one, but I'm not so sure. We're going to have to see what the Fed says. I have a sense that we can make a lot of money on the short side if they start, when they start raising those interest rates. It's hard, obviously, to predict exactly when that's going to happen. But I think this year might be even more of a telling year on, there's a lot of new traders that are quote unquote professional traders. But we'll see, how people fare when the markets really change, if they really start on a downtrend. So it'll be interesting, but, I probably advise, people to stay on their toes, watch the Fed, if you're in the large cap world. I mean, even if you're in the small cap world, because if they raise those interest rates, small cap pennies are going to get murdered, because all their PE ratios and all that kind of stuff are all in the negative. So
this they don't make any money. Shorting pennies. This is your year.
I can't short pennies because I can't fund that $100,000 TD Ameritrade account.
But
you got to get you can get an offshore Jamaican, Bohemian broker, Centerpoint or Trade Zero. You can. There's ways.
How bad do you want a trading account in the Cayman Islands?
Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we have to go down and visit the assets every now and then.
We do. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to make an excuse for you to go down and to go visit the islands.
Yeah.
And,
just want to feel my money.
Blaine has homework.
Yeah.
God, I want to do that. God, I'd love to just short pennies.
Little Cayman Island.
I opened an E-Trade account with the hope that I could do that. And
E-Trade has some good locates. They don't have they have some things you can short for sure.
I don't know how to use E-Trade. So I open the account and my money's sitting there and I can't use it. So
time to take it out and put it in the options account.
Yeah, probably.
All right, guys.
That's how we're going to call that one.
We're going to wrap it up.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm here. I'm here. No, but I know it's getting late. So I apologize for being a little late to the start to that. It's been great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm going to go listen to those Justin Bieber songs now and tear my eyes out.
I think, Blaine, you need to have you guys need to talk offline about the whole Bieber thing here.
Oh well, I mean that's a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I gotta leave the tank if we can't agree that "Holy" is an amazing song. All right. Maybe you'll turn me to a believer. I appreciate you. I respect a lot about you. Respect a lot about your trading. Respect your patience and your holes in quality. It's a real, I want to say something profound. It's a real beacon in kind of a choppy world of traders. I like you a lot and I appreciate your time and all the effort you've put into me. And I'm sorry if it's taken a while. Now say something nice about Shark. Did I say Justin? No. Oh God, I didn't mean that about you.
No, it's a great journey, and I love teaching. I love helping people. That's that has its own great kind of benefits. Although obviously it can be hard at times. I mean, trading is hard. It's so emotional and psychological, but I do love helping people, and I hope that people can take something away from this episode that is insightful and helpful to them. And thank you so much for having me on again. I love the podcast. Thank you, Justin, for coming and hanging out. I'm glad that we got to meet this time instead of our first episode. So, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me. And let's have a great year to everybody.
On the podcast, Shark, I need you to say that you think I'm going to be fine with my trading. I need to get that on air. Yeah.
As long as you follow your rules that you said, you're going to be fine. If you don't follow your rules, I can't say, but
you
know what to do.
It. All right.
You have the roadmap. Whether or not you drive on it, is up to you. That's in your hands.
All right.
We'll see you in 3 weeks for the earnings straddle, right, Blaine?
Yeah. Talk to Bunny Shark. Talk to Bunny Shark about his strategy, and you can kind of converse. See if you want to take part in it.
So full port the earnings. Is that
no? All right, I'm signing off.
All right, bye
more
guys.
Champagne. All right, thank you.
Bye.
Lane signing out.
So we can finally let the cat out of the bag on our new sponsor, Last Bottle Wines.
Or the bottle out of the box.
Okay. I love this service. Some of my mom friends here in Atlanta told me about this service, and it's an app, and you can buy discounted wines, and there's one per day. And there's a rush to buy the wines because when they're sold out, they're gone. And all my mom friends are checking their phone. They're buying the wines. They've built beautiful collections at half the cost. It's all a rage here in Atlanta. So I feel psyched to have them sponsoring the podcast.
I love wine. Personally, love it. I think it's
fantastic.
The best invention of all time, since sliced bread. And on top of that, I really like wine at a discount because it's kind of expensive. And This is not expensive. And I really appreciate you explaining this to me like I'm 5.
Sure. Do you think that sipping on a glass of wine from a $120 bottle taste better to you than sipping on a glass of wine from a $20 bottle just because you know it's more expensive?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You know what?
There's only one answer there.
But you know what's better than that is sipping on a $120 bottle of wine that you got for only $40.
Exactly. That's the best of both worlds.
Deal making right there.
Yeah. And I love how they've like gamified buying wine. Like they only pick the best wine. So you know if you buy it, it's going to be awesome. Okay. But there's like, it's like supply and demand, right? Okay. It like could sell out. Yes. They release the wine for the day. It's like 9:30 opening bell. Okay. And then they only have a finite amount of that wine. So you got to really jump on it.
Follow-up question. Why is it called Last Bottle?
Because if you buy the last bottle, then you get a $50 credit on your account to use for an upcoming purchase.
If you are the lucky person to buy the last bottle, you essentially get another bottle for free.
Yep.
Just for buying.
All
right. What kind of wine are we talking about? What's the bottle of the day today?
Well, Justin, I'm so glad you asked. Today,
I hope it's something
you're going to have to read it. You're going to have to read it. I know you're on the website.
Italian or something that you can't say. Is that the deal?
Say it, but it's 95 points and it's over 50% off.
I'm looking at it because I just downloaded the app. Love the app. Easy to use. $85 retail value. Online, you can get it for $49, but at Last Bottle, it's $39. It's a 2016 Brunello di Montalcino.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yep. And you get free shipping for 3 bottles or more.
Really?
I don't know what else you could want. Guys, support the podcast. Go to Last Bottle Wines. Download the app. Check it out. There's no commitment. I love the level of service. I love the game aspect. I love that you get great bottles of wine cheap. And we've got a discount code for you, which is Penny. PENNY. And that is good until the end of March 2022.
That's pretty amazing. This is going to work out great for us. There's a lot of podcasts we do where the people we are interviewing are drinking wine. This is going to be a home run.
Totes. All right, guys. Penny Lane Potties, get on board. We're all on Last Bottle Wines now. Thank you to our producer Joel Edwards and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music. Please like, subscribe, and share this on social media. We appreciate you guys.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane Podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane Podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane Podcast. The Penny Lane Podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and or links referenced herein.